Just trying to find what I did with my needles. And I don't know, so we might have to use a humongous pair. Maybe I'll use some straight ones today. Let's try that out. I don't know what I did with my knitting needles. And I'm going to have to find them because that's a set of my Chiagos. I don't recall what size. I think they were the 9s that I was using because they're the ones that are missing. But they're in one of these totes in this room somewhere. Or let me... I'll find them later. It'll be easier for me to work on these anyway. We had started with... Let me move this up a little bit. We had started with our back, and we have the 2 fronts finished last week, and now we are going to talk about, excuse me, the sleeves. So here's our back and the 2 sleeves over here to the side, and I need to find the center pull. Sometimes I'm lucky enough not to pull the whole center out. Sometimes not so lucky, and this time not so lucky. Alright, but we'll use this up. So we are going to need the needle sizes that we were using to make our sweater. Whichever sizes you started off with, those are the ones that you're going to need to continue on with this project. And this is going to be fun. Oh yeah, lots of fun. Let me get this apart, and it should be easier to get the others apart. You're also going to need a tape measure, so if you haven't gotten those out yet, go ahead and work on getting those tools out and ready. We are going to take 3 more measurements. And we will plot out our sleeve. And I don't want to have to cut this. I really don't. Shouldn't have to. I think I got it now. Alright, we've got it finally. Finally. Alright, I got my tape measure over here. We are going to be making 3 measurements. 1 at the wrist, 1 at the upper part, and we have another little chunk here, of course. Anything to slow me down today. 1 at the wrist, 1 at the forearm, the upper part of the forearm right before the bend of your elbow. And the other one at the upper part of your arm. And we are going to work on some increases. I know that the fronts, the 2 front pieces and the back piece that we did not have any increases in them. They were straight pieces, but your sleeves are going to have a little bit of increases in them. The fuzziness of this is making it hard to get this to come loose. There we go. Now we got it. Okay, we're going to have to cut this end off though because we got all frayed up. Not a whole lot to lose. About 5 or 6 inches, no big deal. Alright, so we are going to measure. Let me grab my tape measure here. And get a drink of water. Yeah. Do that real quick before I close that out. We're going to take a measurement, and let me get an index card here that I can write this down on and give a little detailed description on how we're going to make these sleeves. So we're also going to need your knitting gauge. So whatever your knitting gauge for your needles were, we had figured that out in the beginning. And again, I don't know where I wrote all that stuff down, but we'll figure it out. I know I keep my index cards over here. I am hardly ever prepared for anything that I do. I do apologize. Okay, there it is. Using the size needles that I have and the yarn. This was the beginning of what I had wrote down. Hopefully you guys kept notes. 3.5 stitches are in an inch for my gauge. Hey Becky, hopefully I haven't missed any comments. I've just been steady talking and trying to get everything together. Hey Hessalive. Sonny, welcome in. Haven't seen y'all in a while. I haven't been on in a while. But hopefully we can get this under control. Hey Llama. Looking back to see who all's in. Jen. Beth. So we are going to go ahead. I'm doing good. I had a bad start, a bad end to the day yesterday. I was in bed early and a bad start this morning, so I went back to bed. But I'm feeling much better now. Hopefully it will stay that way. So we're going to take a measurement at our wrist and see. I've been missing them too, Becky. Hey, Michelle. We're going to take a measurement at your wrist. I got about 7 inches. We're going to give a generous measurement. Don't measure it too tight because, again, it's a sleeve cuff. You don't want it too tight. So I'm even going to go over and say 7.5. You add a 1/2 inch if you want to measure exactly. So, again, a pin. So at my wrist, we have 7.5 inches. All right, and I'm going to do just a tiny little drawing here because this is how your sleeve is going to look. It's going to get wider. I don't know how well you can see that. It's going to get wider as it goes to the top. So we want 7.5 inches here. Now we're going to do a measurement right about here, which again is right before the bend of your elbow here. We are going to take that tape measure, and it's always fun to try and get it around there and then inch it up. Again, go ahead and do a snug measurement because we're going to add a 1/2 inch to it. So I've got, I'm going to go ahead. I like to give a little generous because I like a little give, plus then the 1/2 inch. So I'm going to say 12.5 inches right here at the bend. And then up here at the top, you're going to measure right where you're, right under your armpit, basically, on your bicep. And I'm measuring at a generous 16, so we're going to write 16.5. And I'm going to show you how you figure out increases. Okay, so we have to go from 7.5 to 12.5 inches. We need one more measurement. You need to measure from your wrist. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that up to the 2-inch mark. So whatever I measure, I'll end up taking 2 inches off. You want to make sure that your arm is straight, not bent, and that the tape measure lays along your arm. Go all the way up to the shoulder seam on your shirt. And I have 25 inches. So my sleeves need to be 25 inches long. Okay, so the total sleeve length is 25 inches. Okay, so between here and here we have to gain 5 inches. So that's where our stitch, our gauge swatch comes into play. This many stitches will give me 1 inch, so I have to do a little bit of math here. Let me get my calculator open here on my computer. It's so much faster. All right, 3.75 times 5. Actually, we're going to do 7.5, 7.5, because we need to figure our beginning stitch count. Doesn't seem like an awful lot of stitches, but I am using a size 9 needle. So down here at the 7.5 inches, I need 28 stitches. Okay, 28 stitches down here. Now we have to add 5 more inches. So again, we're going to take that 3.75, which is my knitting gauge. You should have recorded your knitting gauge in the beginning. If not, you have to do a gauge swatch. If you have to do a gauge swatch, I'm going to send you back to the first knit along video and it'll show you how to do your gauge swatch. Yeah, I have to take care of me. I sure do. I sure do. And we're going to multiply that number by 12.5. So between here and here, we have to go from 28 stitches to a rounded up of 47 stitches. We're going to figure how many rows we need to do that in. And I have that count here too. So let's figure our last stitch count increase up here at the top. And we want this to gently flow. We do not want to have choppy increases. Your sleeves will not look right. Okay, now our final stitch count should be about 62 stitches rounded up for me. Okay, this is based off of the size needles that I used and my knitting gauge, which everyone should have recorded in the beginning. So 5.5 rows will give me 1 inch per my knitting gauge. So we are looking at 25 inches in total. So we're going to multiply that here times 5.5. So we are going to have 137 total rows for this sleeve. Okay, that's going to give us the 25 inches based off of your knitting gauge. Becky, I can help you catch up. Whenever you have time available, just let me know where you're at and what you need to do. Even if I finish these knit-alongs and everyone else is not done, I am not going to leave you hanging. I am here to help you along the way. I know life happens for everybody. It's been happening to me a lot, and yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to leave you behind. I'll still be here in the Craftin' Chats when you can catch me. Or if you want to schedule time with just me and you, we can get you going. No worries. I do want to ask, are you guys hearing a lot of the traffic going by? I have my door open and tractor trailers go up and down this road. Is it picking that up at all? If it is, let me know because I'll close this door temporarily. So for my knitting gauge, I'm going to start out with 28 stitches and make these increases here. So 137 rows, and let's take yet another measurement because we have to measure. Did I take that? No, I didn't. This should have only been 23, not 25, I think. Let me double check because now I just saw that I started that at 2 and not 1, and I probably did. Yeah, that should have been 23. 23 inches total. So I'm going to take a measurement from where my wrist measurement was, and again we have to remember the 2, to where I took my forearm measurement. That's 11 inches. Okay, so 11 inches, let's see where in the row we are with that. Okay, about row 60. Within the first 60 rows, we need to increase from the 28 stitches to 47 stitches. Okay, this is where the math comes into knitting and crafting. I never thought I would need math. I never really cared for math, but I love math now because it lets me create all kinds of things. So if your kids say they don't need math, let them know there's other things you need math for than just, you know, counting money and finding the difference between apples and oranges once you get into algebra. So that was 11 inches. That leaves a remainder of 12 inches. So 12 inches here. Let's do a little more math and we'll figure that out. Okay, that's 66 rows. Probably more so 67 rows. So in between here and here is 67 rows, and we need to decrease those. So we want to do a gradual a gradual increase. Again, we don't want to have anything go super crazy, and we're going to be increasing 2 stitches at a time, one at the start of the row and one at the end of the row. So it's going to go nice and gentle. Oh, good luck, Becky. Good luck. Good luck. So 60 rows we have here to do the increase of 19 stitches in total. So if we take the 60 rows and divide it by 19, every 3 rows we are going to increase. Okay? What I actually did was I took the increase in stitches and divided it by my rows. Or actually divided the rows by the increases. That tells me how often I have to do the increases. So every 3rd row, I'm going to be increasing on both sides of my sleeve. We're going to do the same thing here from 47 to 62, and I'm getting a block. 62 minus 47 is 15. So we are increasing 15 stitches on my sweater sleeve from the forearm to the end of the sweater sleeve. So we are going to take the 67 rows that we're going to work that over and divide it by 15. So here we have almost 4.5. So we're going to say every 4. Every 4th row, we're going to do an increase once we get to here. Now, you will stop increasing once you get to that stitch count. You don't want to keep increasing once you get to this stitch count. You'll work that stitch count for probably not even another row or 2 before you start going into the next, because it should be right there at that mark on your sleeve. And you can find that out by, once you get the increases done to the forearm, take the sleeve and lay it. And I think I did another boo-boo. Thinking about that too. Let's see here. Yeah, it should be 9 inches. 9.5. So I got to do different math. 9.5. 9.5. 9.5 times 5.5, which was my knitting gauge. That's 52. 52 rows. So we take that 19, 52 divided by 19. So it'd still be every 3, 2.73 in the math, so I'm around that up to 3. And then this one here we'll have to redo because I have to take, no, I don't have to take any, yeah, I do. 9 inches. I don't know why I'm trying to do the math in my head. I got a calculator right here. That leaves 14 inches. Times 5.5 equals 77. 77 rows to do that increase. So that is, what did I say that was? 62 minus 47. That's 15. So 77 divided by 15 gives us 5. So every 5th row, we're going to do increases at the top until we get to the 62 stitches. So we're going to go ahead and cast on. Is everyone okay with the math? If not, please let me know. Okay, it's just a little bit. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cast on these 28 stitches, and I feel like I need more than that, but using a size 9 needle, I'm probably just overthinking everything. So we're going to pull out some yarn and do a long tail cast on. So long tail cast on, for everyone who may be new, it's exactly that. You take the tail end of your yarn and you just pull out a long tail, and you hope you have enough to cast on the amount of stitches you have. The tail hangs over your thumb. The string that goes to the skein of yarn goes over your index finger. Reason being, yes, I will. This will be saved to YT. All of them are on there. Oh, you heard blah, blah, blah. So if you need help figuring out the math, Sonny, let me know. I will help everyone figure out the math. I just need to know your inches and your knitting gauge. And I can help you figure all of that out. I probably should have wrote it out a little bit better so that everyone has a chance to look at it and see it, maybe with a marker or a bigger whiteboard. But yes, if you do need help with your math, let me know. And yeah, I need your knit gauge and those measurements, and I can help you figure that out. So again, the tail hangs over the thumb, the string going to the skein goes over the finger, and we are going to bring those two together almost like a slingshot, just like this. You can hold it with 2 hands, 3 hands. We're basically going to be working right here. Okay, I'm going to put the knitting needle down in between my hand and the string, and then I'm just going to twist it so my needle's facing up the other way. Now I'm going to come to the meaty part of my palm under my thumb, and I'm going to go up my thumb. In doing that, I grab that one string, and I'm going to come over to the pad of my index finger, run my needle down my finger. You can see I'm catching another string of yarn here. I'm going to hold that. Back over to my thumb, and I'm going to run the needle back down my thumb, which takes you back down that loop. I lay my thumb over on my index finger, hold on to that string here, all underneath my index finger on the other hand. I will take my thumb out. I can then reposition my thumb to snug up that loop, and I actually have 2 loops now. We're going to repeat that for 28 stitches. Again, meaty part of the thumb, or the palm under the thumb, up the thumb, hold your string, index finger, let me get a hold of this a little bit better, here we go, pad of your index finger, run down your finger, capture that other string, back over to the thumb, run your needle back down your thumb, drop your thumb over, capture all your strings, take your thumb out, snug your string back up. All right, 28 stitches. Okay, we've got our 28 stitches here, and I still don't think that that's going to be enough, but we're going to try it out and see. That's what the math says. Now, we are going to be doing a combination of knits and purls, just like we did when we started out the back and the fronts of our sweater. We actually had a knit 2, purl 2 ribbing going on. I know it's a little harder to see here, but you can see the 2 knits and the 2 purls. We're going to do that across those stitches that we just cast on. Okay. Oh no, Sonny, there's nothing wrong. Let me tell you what, I have made mistakes knitting and crocheting that turned into design elements. It was amazing. So no, plus, old wives' tale, you always want to leave in at least one mistake. You put your heart and soul into your work. You know, blood, sweat, and tears. You want to let your heart and soul out of that work before it leaves your hands. So that's where they get out, the mistakes. So we are going to do a knit 2 and a purl 2. And I want to do it for the same number of rows that we did on the back and the fronts, because I kept my ribbing all the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like I did 8 rows. So, and I hold both strings together when I start. This is part of my weave in. We have to weave in the ends so they stay secure. So again, for a knit stitch, and I know this is harder to see. Let me put, oh, I can't put those on there. Oh, do I have I might have to use those long needles. I really don't want to, but I might have to. Let me see. I want to find some silver needles because this yarn is so dark. You can't really see. Let me see if I can find 5.5s over here. Here we go. I've got some 5.5 double pointeds. I'll throw my little stoppers on here. Where's the other one? Oh no. It's over here. I'll put my stoppers on them and that'll make them single pointed. Look at that. And it'll be easier for me to show you the knit stitch and the purl stitch on these. But I am going to take, yeah, I'll have to knit it from off of here. So you're going to isolate out your stitch, and I know it's really, really dark here. You're going to go to the left of your stitch, and you're going to insert your needle in through the little tunnel that's made by it wrapping around the other needle. Carrying both strings, counterclockwise wrap your yarn. Bring your tension on here by tightening up the grip on your hand. Make a U shape, come down underneath the needle and right up, and it will bring that right through that stitch where you just went. Now it is going to look like 2 stitches in one because we're knitting with 2 strands of yarn right now, and I only do that for a couple of stitches. Oh, okay. So we're going to do another knit stitch, and then we are going to do, and of course everyone should still remember the purls. Purl stitch, you bring your yarn to the front, and all you have to do is bring that right in between your needles and bring your yarn to the front. Okay, and it's the exact opposite of a knit. You're going to go in from the right of the stitch to the left. Your needle stays to the front. Counterclockwise wrap your yarn. Do that U shape again, down under the needle, back up. There you are. You just have to knock that stitch off the needle. I'm going to go ahead through here and do a row really, really quickly. Got to do another purl. That way I can get these off onto these silver needles. I can show you the knit and purl stitches a little better because this dark yarn on these dark wooden needles isn't coming out too well. I had my Chiagus over here somewhere, and the 9 is out, so I know I didn't put it away. And I'm going to drop that yarn now. I've got enough doubled up stitches. One more purl. Now that little string hanging down there, I can go ahead and clip that off. It's woven in under a bunch of stitches. And then the friction of the next row is going to lock it in, so it's good. I hear the birds out here chirping. I got baby birds in the yard that fell out of the nest. I don't know how the mother's going to teach them to fly from the ground. I have to walk my little dog on a leash. The big dog, she'll listen to me. She won't mess with the baby birds. But he wants those babies so bad. He's sitting here in the doorway staring at those birds. Alright, once I get done this row, I can show you the knit and purl row a little better. And I'm going to have to do a little finagling here on the end because I had 1 stitch left. I'm going to purl in the front and the back of the stitch if I can get it in there. That way I've got an even stitch count. I like to, when I sew them together, I like to have the knits match with the purl on the other side so I don't have 2 knits when I sew my sleeves together. And I think, yeah, that's going to be a big enough sleeve. So again, to do a knit stitch, let me get this done around here. It's got a little tight. Let me get these first 4 done. What the heck did I do with that there? All right, here we go. We can see it a little bit better maybe if I turn the light around. There we go. So now, move that stitch out so that you can see it there. We're going to go to the left of our stitch, put our needle in through the tunnel that's made by it wrapping around this needle here, counterclockwise wrap, knit stitch. I think most of you should know by now, but just in case, I mean, we are onto the sleeves. We've done the back and 2 front pieces, and I did mine in stockinette stitch, which you have to knit one side, purl the other side. And now that I've got you started off, if everyone is okay, I'm not going to hang out too long today. I am recovering from a slight fibro flare, and I did not want to push this back another week. So I'm going to finish this row and check and make sure that everyone is okay with this. I'm hoping to be well enough to at least hang out and finish the crochet along tomorrow. I'm going to go over the sleeve cuff again on that one because I couldn't upload the last sleeve that we did with the cuff because I forgot to change to non-copyrighted sounds, and YouTube will not let me upload it, or they'll give me a violation, so I'm just not even going to try. I don't want to start that. Perfection stalls innovation. It sure does. It slows you down because you want to perfect what you're working on, and the whole thing is nothing's perfect. We're not perfect, so we cannot create perfection. So I don't strive for it. I just strive to make something that's like, oh. People look at it and say, oh, where did you get that? You know? So I'm going to set you off on this. You're going to do at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches, whatever, you know, however many rows you did on the bottom of your sweater back and the 2 front pieces. You want to replicate that on your sleeve cuff, and then you'll start working your stitches. If anyone has any questions about their math and how to figure all of this out, please let me know. If I'm not still here, which I'm going to end here in just a couple of minutes, can hit me up with a message. I can get you on a side chat and help you out. Yes, I do have to take care of myself, because for me to be here for all of you to help with your crafting journey, I do have to take care of myself. So that is of the utmost importance, definitely. But I don't want to delay you all any longer. You know, for someone with chronic health issues, it does make it kind of hard to keep a schedule. I tried to do a schedule. It's not working out very well, so I might adjust yet again. I know definitely it's either going to be one knit along, one crochet along at a time. Hey, Leslie. So I was just getting ready to leave, sweetie. I'm going to jump back over, I guess, and listen with Meemaw, or I might go lay back down and take a little nap and rest. Yes, chronic issues. They are the bane of my existence. So, keep working on your sweater. Again, if you have any questions about the math portion, hit me up. I will help you through all of that and get you back to going. I know it does take a little bit to understand how this works. I once upon a time needed a pattern for everything, and measurements are the pattern. Measurements are where the pattern starts. So everyone who's following along right now, you're on your way to being pattern makers and being able to make your own thing. You take care too, Judy. For those of you following along with the crochet along, I'll see you here tomorrow at 11:30. And for all of the beginners who have stopped in, yes, I will get some rest, who stop in today, I do have basic stitches on Mondays at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Stop in, check me out, and we'll start you on your crafting journey. Thank you for the heart, me Leslie. So I'm going to end for today. May all your stitch counts match, and happy crafting.